Hello and welcome to Atomic Facepalm. This is Chris.
And this is Bree.
And it's played in full, and this time it's Divinity Original Sin 2.
Co-op.
Thanks, guys, for tuning in once again. As always, that subscribe button, it would be fantastic if you hit it. We really would appreciate it. And you can always leave your comments below because we really do like hearing what you guys have to say. We like it. Here's what we think of it. Now, we've put quite a few hours in this game.
I think we're at 20, 25 hours.
Maybe even more.
Maybe even more because somebody is a distracted dwarf.
So we actually, I don't know, it's hard to see these. We actually have our little Hero Quest figures here, and we kind of made it so that they represent our Divinity 2 party to a certain degree. Mm-hmm. Now, we fell into this game kind of by accident. It was like, we're going to play it as a distraction, right? Like, we're going to just play it for a little bit, and then, we're going to do these reviews for the other games like Hob, et cetera, Ruiner when those come along. But yeah, we'll give it a shot. And, all of a sudden now I can't stop playing it.
I've sacrificed 2 weekends completely to this game. So we're playing co-op. It's a really great co-op game. Kind of click RPG style game. And
yep. So I didn't play the first one. Now, from what I understand, it's very similar to Original Sin 1 in that it is tactical turn-based combat. I don't remember if you had 4 people in the first one or not, but it seems like a 4-person limit to your party in this one. And it takes place within the Divinity universe. And Larian Studios have actually fleshed out this Divinity universe quite a bit. I played Divine Divinity way back in 2002, I think, when that came out. Before they're even known at all, they then went on to make a number of sequels to varying degrees of success. I think this is their first legit big game. It's got a lot of popularity. People are paying attention to it. And it's just like kind of exploding on social media.
I think that's important to say. It's just like such a labor of love. There's not a part of this game that you go into that hasn't been fleshed out like 900%.
Yep.
Like everything is covered. If you want to play co-op and then I want to give control of one player to him, or it's just like so many things. Every skill, rearranging your characters, and even assign each character their own instrument so that when they're in battle and they're having their moment or whatever, then their instrument is playing the strongest. Like, it's just unreal to me how much is into this game.
On the surface level, it looks like just your standard RPG, right? You're like, oh, it takes place in a fantasy universe, fantasy stuff, spells, skeletons, everything you expect from a normal RPG. But really, it's anything but. Mm-hmm. That's just surface level. To me, I think I described it to you, it almost felt like we were playing a Dungeons & Dragons pen and paper campaign with some limitations because there's only so much you can do in a game. But it feels like there's no wrong answer to the way you want to approach the gameplay.
And I feel like it definitely is a game that doesn't care so much either. Like, you might have come into this and had a way that you thought you were going to handle it, and then you mess it up. But the game is going to keep moving without you. It's going to have a reason, or, it's not like a wrong answer. I don't know.
It's not a binary choice game.
No.
And it's not like there are very few moments far in between where there's an antagonist or a protagonist that you have to keep around or whatever. Like, I think, 2% of the time we've hit that, where there was one guy who was cowering behind like a column we had to get there, and then he popped out and battle came up. But presumably you could have killed him if you wanted to. Mm-hmm. We just didn't because, we didn't want to. But yeah, it feels like roleplay it the way you want to. If you want to kill everybody in the first area, kind of like we did, you can do that. It's hard. I mean, there's certain challenges that go along with certain decisions. I actually was doing a little bit reading up, and we ended up doing one of our quests entirely different than most other people.
Yeah, and that's just about, like, every problem you run into, there's gonna be this, I don't know, just a different way. There's like a bazillion different ways to handle each thing through combat, or just sneaking in another way, or you talk to that person, or you happen to be the correct character when doing this particular thing. So there's just so many different branches, and it's not always the best way. Like, if you're a completionist and you want to go down your quest log, and I want to check off this one, I want to check off this one, I want to check off this one. It doesn't. This world is just going to keep moving and changing, and you might have went over here and did something completely unrelated that kind of closed off something over here.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I meant before by the world doesn't care that you made the correct choice or the wrong choice. It's just more of this organic, that's how it goes. That's,
Yeah.
Isn't that the way of it? And then and it doesn't mean that you can't completely do anything after you may have made a choice that you didn't agree with or whatever. It's just going to be different now.
Yep. And this is the first co-op game for a role player that I've played in a long, long time, maybe if ever. Possibly going back to like the earlier days, but it feels great. It's like if you're in the same room, like we talk back and forth to each other. We discuss which tactics and strategies we want to do to varying degrees of success. One of the main mantras we've discovered in this game is everything is on fire always. So
yeah, which is a good segue into the combat of this game.
Yeah.
As I think we've played like Torment Tides of Numenera this year, and while an awesome click RPG, the combat never felt quite right.
Yeah, you almost wanted to avoid it.
I did. It was like I wanted to read the stories and get into the words of that game, but this is the opposite of that. I'm always looking forward to combat, and it's not because the story is weak. It's just that the combat has so many interesting things and ways. So there's a lot of different, like you can put down oil, and then the oil can be lit on fire, or if there's water, the water can be poisoned. And if there's fire, then you can be put out and then make smoke that like clouds everybody so you can't shoot them. So there's always all these different elements that are interacting with each other. So you might want to, have somebody cast a fire spell so then you can cast rain on it and put everybody in a shrouded cloud that nobody can hit into.
Yeah.
It's very easy to light everything on fire. My character Fane is our magician, and he's all his spells are fire spells, and I'm like, I'll double check. I'm like, am I gonna light everything on fire before I do this?
Probably.
No, it looks all right. It's gonna be fine. And then all of a sudden,
it's the whole screen explodes.
Everyone is on fire. And hopefully we're showing you some fire combat right now on the screen, because it's just everything is on fire or poisoned or something all the time.
It's a comedy of errors, because sometimes you go in, you're like, okay, our tactics are strong, and we're gonna just take the high ground. Rarely does it work out the way you plan. Usually it's just like you have these plans and it all falls apart, and it's really entertaining to see what happens.
And then you've got to kind of scramble. I'd say the combat is always challenging, even when we come in above somebody.
Yeah, even if they're lower level. Yeah.
You don't mess around. You've always got to be on your toes.
Yeah, and most of the harder ones you probably have to do more than once, but it doesn't feel repetitive. It's not like, oh man, I'm gonna load it, it's gonna be the same fight all over. Some of the ones we reloaded 3 or 4 times were vastly different encounters because we had to approach it differently.
Yeah.
And the level progression is just the right amount. It's not too much. It's not like you're going like 120 levels. It's like I don't know how far we're pretty far, and our guys are level 9, 8 or 9. Yeah. So it's like the right amount of reward for like the effort you're applying. Each level you get feels significant. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's one of those games where I would actually recommend this to people who don't necessarily play role-playing games as their staple. But I feel like this is that good gateway into the role-playing universe, because it's casual enough where it's not totally crazy like Planescape or Torment, where Torment, I feel like, awesome game, but it would throw people off. It's so weird and abstract.
Especially right from the start. Out of the gate, that game is... just give it an hour, and then it'll take your heart away, maybe. But this one is a little more accessible right from the start, and I feel like it's got a lot more things that could draw a player that isn't into, RPG games like the combat into it deeper than... Torment or something. And
you can create your own specialized character like any RPG, but they have these prefabricated characters, origin characters, and you can still tweak them. Like if you pick one of those characters, you get special little story tidbits throughout the whole campaign, but you can still change their appearance, change whatever role you want them to play. So it's not like if you pick one of these characters, you can't customize them. Yeah, my character looks completely different than she started, and I chose a whole different class. And even since I've chosen that class, I've been changing it up. Like I started adding in... It's actually really easy to start adding points into a different spellcasting class and start to kind of diverge. I thought this was great. I thought it was going to be a necromancer only when I started this, but now I'm starting to do more of this polymorph or healing water spells. So it's kind of cool. Yeah, and there is quirkiness to it once you get into it. Like you can do this animal companion spell where you can talk to animals, which seems like a must-have because there's so much... And I feel like as much as we played it, we probably missed a huge majority of the game just because of the different ways you can go about it. But you can talk to animals. You can be Marky Mark and talk to animals. You can... which is always heartbreaking. So we got that animal pet pal skill like right away because it opens... There's rats and cats and dogs everywhere. And you think, oh, that'll be great. And every single one of those stories is heartbreaking. It's like... Yeah. It's the bear cub that lost its mom and the rat that's like... I just like... The dog that's owner died because presumably you killed it. And it's basically the mantra of this game is everything in the game is on fire and all the animals are sad. But no, it's awesome. And again, like we had this encounter where we found this dragon that was chained up, and then it turns out that dragon is under control of this witch who's in this cave with these poison bloom death flowers
that feed off the corpses of people, and it's just like bizarro stuff.
It feels like that crazy stuff that like you have this wacky game master in Dungeons and Dragons who makes up these cool things and just evolve into these crazy stories. It feels like that type of level of like love and attention. And these guys are PC developers, and it shows. This is a great PC game. It's tons of not tons. There's enough things to tweak in the graphics menu. Plenty of quick saves, even in co-op. You can quick save it and load it to your heart's content. And you want to quick save often. We've learned that lesson.
Yeah, there's definitely like quick save often. Try your skills out when you're in town.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Because you get into the heat of battle and you're like, oh, that's a spell that lights everyone on fire, not just the enemies, but also my friends. And so, like, as soon as I buy new spells in town, I'm like, is that going to hurt, like, NPCs? Is that going to hurt my team? Is this going to do this? And not only that, but also some characters are undead, and you try to heal them in combat, and it kills them because, like, this guy, don't heal Fane. I
just healed Fane. He's dying now.
He's dying. Fane's almost dead. Undead characters, if you heal them, it hurts them, but poison heals them. So it's kind of this weird, adds another layer to this already complex combat system.
And you get really invested, at least I did, in the combat, to the point where I'm like, really like, oh my God. Again, it feels tough, but I want to do my best, and I want to like make the combat work. And, you know, it's like you feel it. Even if you lose and you reload, it's like, oh man, could have done that better. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, overall, kind of an amazing game for me that came out of nowhere. Now, we've been to PAX the last 3 years, and they always had a booth for this game, and I kind of just avoided it because I didn't really know what it was about, and that's kind of on me.
I played the one Divinity Original Sin 1. I just happened to come across it at a time in my life when I did not have time for this kind of game, so I played for like 5 hours maybe, and it was great, and I enjoyed it. I liked that turn-based combat stuff, but I just couldn't get over that hump to get into it and just have it suck away my life. This one happens a lot faster. I feel like you get into your character a lot quicker. The out of the gate story is a lot faster for your character.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I like how they kind of isolate you to begin with. So it's open world, but it's not like so overwhelming that you're like, just, oh my God, there's too much going on. I don't know what to do. You can explore, you can do things, but they kind of keep you isolated a little bit at first, and then gradually I think they open it up more, which is very clever to do that. Again, it feels like what I would do as a dungeon master for Dungeons and Dragons. You want to kind of keep them in an area first to figure out how things work and kind of let them go and see what they can do. Mm-hmm. So yeah, a tough time for a great game like this because it's the season now where it's just one game after another.
But if I can turn like 2 people towards this game, I'd be super happy. It's just, I think it's awesome. I don't think we've had a bad thing to say.
There are a few really minor things. And I'm talking like, it'd be nice if you could just, when you do a co-op game, if you didn't have to assign the other player every time. For some reason, when you click like enable a LAN game, you've got to check that box. Like really stupid, minute, tiny things. We haven't seen any bugs. I really can't think of one crash. It's really stable.
I haven't thought of crash. I do think there was a bug with those dogs. Like suddenly
that's right. Yeah, there was. We think. Now we don't know, but we're pretty sure.
It could have been one of those things where I did something wrong and we talked to this guy and they didn't like how we reacted to that guy, and then we went back in the room and the dogs all attack, and I don't know.
Yeah, that was strange. And we hadn't saved in a while, so we didn't really get a chance to reload
We learned to save a lot more after that.
Now, to its credit, for a game that has presumably umpteen million different ways to do it, you would think it would break easily, right? You would think if you killed this main character or you wiped out the whole town, it would be like, oh, there's the game. Other games let you do that, but there's really not much to it afterwards. This doesn't feel that way. So, yeah, we're kind of gushing all over this game, and I think with just cause. For me, it's as addicting as I was with Hollow Knight, which is putting it on a high pedestal.
It's definitely one of my favorite games this year by far. I like it a lot. I want to play it right now. I don't want to be doing a STEM video.
This is like, we don't want to record a stupid video because we just want to play the damn game. And seriously, like that's probably the best praise I could give to a game. Mm-hmm. I'd rather be playing the game than talking about it. I mean, I want to talk about it. We want you guys to play it, but honestly, it'd be a lot more fun just to play it.
I don't know. Thumbs up from me. Thumbs up from you.
Yeah, clearly. Go out and play the game. Buy it. Play it. Share it with your friends. Play it.
I definitely recommend playing this game co-op. There just is not that many co-op games that are like, I played Diablo completely co-op. But that doesn't hold a candle to this. This is a much better co-op game.
Yeah, it's local co-op. You can play multiplayer co-op. There's servers.
You can make your own campaigns.
Yeah, there's like an open mode where you can just go in and actually be a dungeon master
and make a whole
your own
world
game.
and whole story. And you really I actually played with that for like 15 minutes, and that too was amazing. It was more than I could handle at the moment, but I was like, I can put fire everywhere because everything has to be on fire. And you can type your characters and their scripts, and it was really cool.
Yeah, I would say if you're looking for something different or you just want just an awesome game that came out of nowhere, play it. Please play it. So there's our verdict. Go play Divinity 2, Original Sin 2, Divinity. Right now.
Chris, Bree, out.
Right, okay.
Did you forget?
Yeah, I don't know why I scripted the outro.
I don't know what you were doing there. I thought you were blanking.
I was blanking.
Okay, we'll leave it all.
We're done.